Question number 3, Craig Foss.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance and reads, how do the government's initiatives to support jobs compare with other countries?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, the government has focused on a stimulus program which protects people from the sharpest edges of recession in the short term and raises our economic performance in the long term. The government is borrowing an extra $30 billion over the next 4 years to support the economy and to support jobs. The effect of this is that while unemployment in the United States is 9.4%, the United Kingdom 7.2%, the Eurozone 9.2%, in New Zealand it is 5%, which is why it's intriguing that the opposition finance spokesman should be telling us to copy Australia, whose unemployment is higher than ours at 5.7%.
Craig Foss.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Supplementary to the Minister. What is the underlying cause of the rise in New Zealand's unemployment rate?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, New Zealand is dealing with 2 recessions. One is the coordinated global recession. The other is the New Zealand recession that started in early 2008, which was caused of unbalanced policy under the last government. Many of the people who are losing their jobs today are the unfortunate victims of policy that built economic growth on borrowed money and big government spending. Those were never sustainable jobs, and it is unfortunate that those individuals and families are now feeling the pain of losing jobs that weren't sustainable.
The Hon David Cunliffe.
To the Minister, is the Minister aware that the 2009 Australian budget's forecast to save 210,000 jobs, the equivalent of some 40,000 jobs in New Zealand terms, and to reduce the unemployment rate in Australia by 1.5% below its forecast level? And if so, why will he not now admit what every other New Zealander knows, that National has failed to construct a credible, systematic plan for jobs, and that New Zealanders are sick and tired of gimmicks, charades and party central instead of a substantive plan?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, the opposition finance spokesman might want to explain this simple conundrum. Our unemployment is 5%. Australia's unemployment is 5.7%. That's higher. So why should we copy their policies?
Craig Foss.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Craig Foss.
Supplementary. Thank you. What is this government doing to create sustainable employment?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, because of a decade of economic mismanagement, the government has a huge job in creating sustainable employment, because we can't base those jobs on extensive borrowing and big government spending. We're setting out to create an environment for business to thrive and have the confidence to retain and create jobs, and in the long run those businesses need to be in the export and the tradable sector rather than in the government and the domestic sector.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, how can it be that when the Minister is discussing the 5% annual unemployment level that currently exists, it's all his government's fault, but when he's discussing the 60,000 extra unemployed yet to arrive, it's all the previous government's fault?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, the government has put together a program designed to deal with 2 major problems: a decade of economic mismanagement, which is one of the reasons so many New Zealanders are losing jobs, and a global recession, which is another reason New Zealanders are losing jobs. No amount of strategies and press releases can create jobs. Only the nitty-gritty of infrastructure investment, an improved business environment and getting government finances and debt under control. And we are proud that New Zealand has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the developed world.
Craig Foss.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Supplementary to the Minister. Has he seen any reports which take a realistic view about unemployment during a recession?
The Honourable Bill English.
Yes, Mr Speaker, I have seen one such report which says this: there is in some quarters a temptation to address the problem of unemployment with simplistic answers. In reality, there are no quick fix solutions. Unemployment has to be addressed at a number of levels, by far the most important are macroeconomic policies aimed at achieving sustainable economic and employment growth. A quote from Minister of Employment Phil Goff.